Welcome back to Celebrity Radio. It's Alex Belfield talking to some of the world's biggest stars and some of my favourite people. And we've got one for you today. Jonathan Antoine, how are you?
I'm great. I'm glad to be here. How are you?
Well, what a lovely setting. I mean, befitting of you, a 5-star hotel, the St Pancras, here in front of this beautiful piano. It's the perfect setting, really, because you've got class, you've got elegance, and you've got this God-given voice. Congratulations.
Oh, well, thank you so much. You're too kind. Thank you. Honestly. What more can I say? But this is an incredible place to have an interview, huh?
Beautiful, isn't it? And can I say, of all the people I've interviewed, I think you've probably got the most dedicated fans of anyone. I've done them all, from Andrea Bocelli to Sir Cliff to Scylla to all these people. You've had 170,000 hits, which is extraordinary. How have you managed to create that?
I mean, it's all about kind of curating who's in your fan base. I've had these incredible people with me from the very start, from 5 years ago now, which is crazy. And just by keeping in contact, staying normal, just being me, and, loving, caring, cultivating friendship between myself and others.
It's interesting, isn't it? You mentioned the word there about being yourself, and sincerity, I think, is the key to this business. If you're not, you're sussed out very quickly.
Yeah, for the most part, I think that there is a lot of insincerity in the industry, in the business, but I think we're on a change. We're on the way to something new.
How are you doing? May I say you're looking incredibly well?
Oh, well, thank you very much. I've been losing a little bit of weight. There's all kinds of complications with that, though. I've actually got just been diagnosed with some kind of thyroid issue, but I'm not entirely sure what yet. Still further testing needs to go into it, but that's contributed, of course, to the recent weight loss. But hopefully, after all is said and done, I can keep all this off and continue losing.
We've spoken before about weight, and I think it's something that's blighted both of our lives. I think if you're a person who has struggled with weight issues or food, you never really get over it. My whole day's consumed now about avoiding food, finding food, worrying about food. Where are you at with that? Because, I mean, you've, like me, you were always big as a child.
Yeah, I think I've been a big boy since I was about 4 years old, which is crazy. But in terms of food nowadays, a lot of it is just out of necessity, kind of. Like I'll have gone the whole day without actually having eaten something because I'm so engaged in what I'm doing at the moment. I've got a lot of fun things under my belt at the moment, and so food at the moment is more of a necessity, which I am quite pleased about, really, because over-obsessing, as you said, it's really damaging. It can be, at least, if you're not conscious of it. And yeah, so I'm just very glad that I'm in the situation that I'm in right now.
Let's talk about you as a child. I mean, from what I read, you were always artistic, you were always creative, and you were always thinking, weren't you? I suppose, in a way, you were born to be sat here today.
That's an interesting way of putting it. I definitely, but I think this is my opinion, but I think that anyone could have been sat here. Anyone could be me. Anyone could do what I do. I just got incredibly lucky, and since then I've trained incredibly hard to try and keep up.
And that voice, let's find out when you first realised it was extraordinary. I think at 11 you did your first sort of public performance, when you realised from the public that they were interested in your voice. When did you know, though, that your voice was very different to everybody else your own age?
Well, I had always sung, just for fun, when I was in, I think it was year 4, so I would have been 8 I think. I would sing for that, and I had a teacher, Miss Masterson. I think she's a Mrs., but you know how it was when you're a young kid. Everyone was Miss. But and she encouraged me, actually. She encouraged me a lot in those very, very early stages. And I think I realised I had a very high voice initially. I had, the male soprano voice before my voice broke. And really, it's just all about continuing to sing through it. Because if you've got like a little bit of something, if you've got a little bit of ability to sing, if you've got some pitch, then just continuing on after your voice breaks through puberty, all that stuff is incredibly vital. And after puberty, I kind of realized, because my teacher had said, if you go through puberty and you end up a tenor, that's kind of like gold dust in a way. And I ended up a tenor, and things just got crazier from there.
What was that morning like when you woke up and realised that voice as a child was no longer the voice as an adult? Is it scary, is it intimidating, or is it exciting?
Well, I would say it was more several months of mornings, over months and months. There would be days when my voice was higher than usual. There would be days when I couldn't hit the high notes, just because all those changes, all the hormones going through you. But yeah, it was just about continuing to sing. And then I can't remember where I was or how long it took, but once I got through all of the voice cracks, all the squeaking, all the gravelly, low, bad throats, it was very rewarding, and I'm glad that I stuck with it.
Have you worked out why we're fascinated by tenors, whether it be Placido Domingo, whether it be Pavarotti, whether it be Alfie Boe? We love a tenor voice, whether it be Jonathan Antoine. People seem to like that more than any other type of voice from a man.
Yeah, I feel like the tenor voice is the most prevalent voice in popular music in general. I think it's possibly something to do with exactly where the register sits, because of the frequencies that gives off. That's my biological, physiological kind of explanation, in that kind of the top C and sort of just above there are very, very pleasing frequencies to the ear. I think particularly when in the male voice, because of the way that the frequencies stack, I think that's just my kind of pseudoscience opinion.
And then we look at what you do. How physical is it? I mean, it seems to me that you guys work hard. It's not like you're sort of humming along. You really are working hard to sing. Is it exhausting, or is it a walk in the park now?
It's it will always be exhausting. If I feel like if I don't kind of exhaust myself sometimes, that it's not giving my all. But I suppose then on the inverse, I'm also not exhausting myself because of technique and all the years that I've put into this. It combats the fatigue. Yeah.
If you could sing any song, what would it be? Do you have a particular favourite or a particular type of song?
Any song in the world. I mean, there's so many. There are so many songs in the world. I've realised that recently. There's a couple of them. Let It Be, Beatles. I could list all of them. But
well, it's interesting because we had a tweet, and we're going to get to those in a bit, from some of your fans who were asking, will you ever do sort of a pop classical crossover album? Because they're very excited at the thought of you singing stuff like maybe even Lady Gaga. I mean, some of her stuff is verging on operatic, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, particularly some of the very early stuff. You have the very big piano arrangements, and I would love to do that kind of thing. Kind of harkening back to the very start of my career 5 years ago, doing some more pop songs. Maybe, see, my concept is to do maybe 2 albums in a year and have one be very classical and one be very popular. But there are so many middle grounds you can choose. You can mix them in so many different ways. So I'm not entirely sure how I'll go about doing it, but someday I will.
And of course, in between that is probably musical theatre. A role like Jean Valjean in Les Mis would be perfect for you. Is this something you'd consider? Have you thought of going into the West End?
It's really tough to say because of the sheer endurance that's required. I think it's definitely something that I'm considering and something that I'd love to do in a few years when ideally I'm in some better shape. But yeah, I'd love to play Jean Valjean. That would be quite something.
We spoke many times over the years, but the last interview we did really resonated with people, and one of the things I touched on was, why can't we see you more live? I think the audience really want that. You are doing a show this Christmas, which will be amazing. Is there hope now that you're going to get a tour together? Come on, Jonathan, we need to see you live.
Well, traditional touring for me is kind of a broken system in a way, in that you go on the road, like bands will go on the road and kind of starve themselves and, you know, go across the globe or the UK or wherever they may be. Personally, I think that, yes, I'm going to do a tour, by the way, yes, just to answer that, but it's not going to be traditional. You know, gaps in between the dates, taking a long time to get to each city and actually be able to enjoy the city and kind of have a look around. That's the kind of tour I'm thinking of.
So you're going to do it in a classy way, really. If you go to York, you want to see the city, because most people don't realise. I was just in Blackpool on Saturday with Des O'Connor and Jimmy Tarbuck. I mean, they literally drove in because of the M6 being a car crash, literally. They got in at the last minute, and then they left the second the show came down. They could have been anywhere in the world. That's the reality of touring.
Yeah, it very much is. You're in one place, and then the next night you're in another, and it all blends into one very quickly.
And that's not for you?
No, I like to really savour everything, and I try to do that even now whilst doing more frequent dates. But it's a lot easier when you actually have time to embrace the city, to meet with the people that you're going to be performing for. That's an incredible thing, because a lot of the time they're just the audience, this conglomerate, this mass of audience, but to actually know all of the faces, to speak personally to each person and to establish a connection, a relationship with them, is one of the most gratifying things about being a musician, a touring musician in general.
Seems to me you're a very spiritual person. You're certainly a very thoughtful person. Are you a religious person?
Tough question, very tough question. I don't think that I ascribe to any particular belief system, if that, you know, makes sense. But it's very hard to say. You know, you ponder the creation and the existence of the universe and life and why we're all here and how we all got here. And it seems highly implausible that it's by sheer chance. But in a way, it's almost more exciting if it is. Yes. It's tough. It's a tough thing to say. I don't want to alienate anyone or make anyone think that I think that their belief system is wrong, because it's not wrong. There is no wrong in this. But I'm still very much finding what I believe in, and I've had a lot of experiences where people have talked to me very deeply about these kinds of things. People just randomly in the street, I had a very long conversation about, you know, Jesus in general and the existence thereof, and about, you know, passages from the Bible, all kinds of stuff. And I think keeping your mind open to every possibility is the most important thing. But have your own ideas, because you can't live your life by someone else's word.
You're very well read, aren't you? Verging on philosophical. I mean, you love to know stuff. You love to find out. You have an inquisitive mind, which I think is the sign of any genius who's good at what they do.
Yeah, you are flattering me. Goodness, I'm going to blush. That is very kind. I suppose I've always aimed to be that way, but I've never kind of found that I've been that way. I've always thought that I was on kind of the pseudo-philosophical side, where I'm saying things that kind of make sense, but they're not entirely based in anything real. But
I've made a career out of that. There's nothing wrong with it. Is 22 a fun age? I mean, for me, it was a miserable age because I was fighting to be successful. I seemed to be swimming in the wrong direction most of the time. At this age, I'm now 37, and it seems to me I've found my place because I don't care anymore. Then again, you've had greater success than me. Is 22 a good time?
Yeah, I'd say it's a good time. I'd say it's a good age. It's kind of a turning point in a way. I'm not really an adult yet, you know. As much as people might think that you're an adult the minute that you turn 18, all those people are not yet 18. 22 is a fun age, because you can kind of do whatever you want. You can go to America and do all the stuff that you can't do until you're 21, whatever that is.
And then we look at your rise to fame, and I think we have to thank Britain's Got Talent for that. You probably wouldn't be sat here if it wasn't for that. We all need a break in our career, and that was it. You and Charlotte had that great success. I think you had 2 albums which were hugely successful. Now you've had 2 albums by yourself that have been equally, if not more, successful. Let's just talk about that period for a minute. A, you're glad you did it, I presume, or we wouldn't be sat here chatting at the St Pancras.
Yes. I'm definitely glad that I did it. There's a certain stigma that is associated with talent shows, particularly, X Factor, Britain's Got Talent, and it's very hard as an artist to move past that, and I don't entirely think that I ever will move past it. I think that it's a part of my identity in a way. I don't often say these things, but it was a massive success. The YouTube video has almost 90 million views, which is at least 1 million times more people than I will ever meet in my life. Yeah. And so of course I'm glad that I did it. But it's so tough for an 18-year-old or 17-year-old boy at the time to just be plunged into this insane world where everyone wants something for nothing. Everyone is trying to gain from what you do. And I didn't handle it as best I could, I don't think. And if I could go back, if I could give myself any advice, then there would be pages upon pages of things that I would do differently. But that is not an option. So I am very glad that I did it. I'm very glad that I did it, and I'm glad that I did it the way I did.
But isn't that life? I mean, as I sit here today, there are 1 million things I wish I could relive, do again, say differently, do differently. But that's life, isn't it? You did the best you could at the time. And actually, the fact you're still sat here sane, alive and successful, I think you beat the war. It doesn't matter who took from you. You're still taking from them by being successful. That's the ultimate revenge, isn't it?
It really is. Success is a strange measurement. I'm successful in that I have these incredible people who surround me. I have constant support. I have just amazing people everywhere that I look. And I wouldn't trade that for all the money in the world.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And as for Charlotte herself, I mean, we spoke only a few months ago, and again, incredibly popular. What you did was remarkable. You both touched people in many different ways. Is there any hope you'll ever perform together again? Because I think we'd like that. We love to look back and go back to better times.
No, it's very tough to say. Maybe give it 25 years.
Wow.
There are so many things that we wanted to do on our own. We never went to Britain's Got Talent expecting what happened, and it did plunge us into a strange world where we were presumed to just be together all the time. It was straining on both of us, in fact, and I think we just had so much again that we wanted to do on our own.
But that doesn't make what you did bad. We must remember that. I mean, what you did was wonderful and hugely successful, and you're a nice person, and I believe she's a nice person too. Do you even get to speak now?
Not in particular. I'll be totally honest. It's kind of crazy. I do my thing. I go and do my concerts. She's at school, and not in particular.
Would you like to? I mean, it seems like a shame that you wouldn't be good friends at this point, because you achieved such a lot, and that chemistry created greatness. I mean, 2 number-1 albums.
You do have a good point.
But again, you've got to remember you were incredibly young. You can't be too hard on yourself in life. I mean, I realise as well, I criticise myself now in this position as things I did maybe 10 years ago. But of course, you grow as a human being, don't you?
Yeah, constantly. I mean, every single day I learn something new. I learn something new about myself, about the people that surround me, about my best friends. Everything is changing all the time, and you can't worry about that, because so are you.
And what is your life like? You wake up in the morning and you sing. You do what?
I wake up in the mid-afternoon. And, well, it really depends on the day. I'm very flexible with with what I do. Obviously, if it's a concert day, if I'm out to perform, it's, up very early and leaving the house very early, just have a bath and dash out. Ideally with the stuff you've packed the night before, but usually not, be honest. But on a usual day, I will, it depends, I'll watch stuff on the internet. I'm kind of a boring guy for the most part. But,
right, some personal questions. If you could watch any programme now, and please don't say Love Island or Big Brother, what would be your choice of programme to watch if we were to watch a TV show now?
With you specifically, Neon Genesis Evangelion.
Right, I've never heard of it. What's that then?
It is a Japanese cartoon from the 90s, I think. It's like based on all this crazy stuff. It's got like giant robots that change size. It's got like these big monolith pillar things that have brains inside them. It's got the angels. There are these big like angels that come down and the robots have to fight them. It's got all this like philosophical and religious undertone.
Oh dear, I think I like things like Heidi High and Are You Being Served? You know what I mean?
Yeah, this like Evangelion is like quite a challenging show to watch.
Sounds a bit too intellectual for me.
No, don't put yourself down like that.
I'm putting myself up, that's the problem. And then we look at your iPod. What music is on there? If you had to listen to one track, what would it be?
One track? How? That's like picking a favourite child. As a musician, I feel like I have such a diverse kind of taste. It could be something from last week, or it could be something from the 60s, 50s. Oh, there are a lot of albums that I'm really, really keen on at the moment. There's a band called Buried Alive, but like buried as in B-E-R-I-D.
Well, that can't be right, can it? I know nothing about spelling, but Buried Alive, okay, we've got that.
Yeah,
What do you like from the 60s? It's funny, I was listening to Gold yesterday on the radio, and the Chiffons came on. I thought, they're bloody good, aren't they?
Yes, I would have to agree. Obviously, Beatles, that's obvious choice. What else? What else comes from the 60s? Because I just kind of think of all music as music,
It's a wonderful decade. I mean, when you think of anything from Cilla Black, I mean, all of her hits, Dusty Springfield, these are great tunes, aren't they? Okay, maybe not.
All due respect, Cilla Black is a treasure and a legend. And
I didn't say she was a great singer. I said she had great tunes. Anyone who had a heart, come on, you could do that. You're my world. I'd pay good money to see you do that. Okay, maybe not.
Think about it.
And then we look at going out. What do you like to do? I mean, food is so important to me. I love restaurants, and a good one. There's some great ones at this hotel as well. Where do you like to eat? What's fun for an evening out?
I'm possibly the most stereotypical British person when I say that I love Nando's. Chicken is my thing. I love chicken. I like spicy stuff. Just natural combination. But I don't tend to get out to restaurants. A lot of the time I will just go to my friend's house and we'll just hang out, we'll talk, maybe play Dungeons and Dragons, which is just a whole other thing.
Isn't it funny, no matter how famous you get, no matter how big or successful you get, your good mates never change and your habits never change with them?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah, even if I was the most successful man on earth, I would just want to go and see my friends. I'm a man of simple pleasures.
Yeah, and I think that's great because it means you're grounded. What you don't want to be in this business is living some fake life that will be taken away from you. It seems to me that your mum and your family, I know your sister's incredibly proud too, these people mean a lot to you, don't they?
They do. They mean quite a bit. They're kind of the reason that I can actually do any of this. This hair doesn't do itself, nor does this face. order these clothes.
Let's talk about this hair. What is this hair, and why is it necessary?
Necessary? No, I would argue.
I mean, you could have a short back and side, couldn't you? Be cheaper.
I couldn't. I mean, I like the way, initially, years ago, honestly, the hair was definitely a hiding mechanism. Because the way that it will frame, like it'll hide the second chin, it'll hide some of your forehead, and if it goes all the way around, it'll hide your whole face. So it genuinely was that was the mechanism. But then I just grew to really, really enjoy having long hair. But I don't remember what having short hair was like. It's either been this long or bust.
Right.
Like, so one extreme or the other.
Is there a point where you go, no, it can't get any longer, or you're going to have it right down your back?
I shall probably stop it when it gets down to around the hips.
Really?
Yeah. Like at that point, it's going to be getting caught on stuff. I can't deal with that.
How peculiar. You see, the great thing about me, I go in the shower and I go like that with my hair, rub it with both hands, and it's done.
Yeah, I use about half a bottle of like big conditioner when I have to do my hair. It is a bit of a nightmare, but
that Tresemme doesn't come cheap either.
I actually, this Tresemme right now, that's some psychic stuff. Like,
I'm not stalking you, by the way. That was a pure fluke.
You've not. No. Oh gosh.
And then holidays. Do you like going away? Do you like getting away?
I love LA. LA is one of my favourite places on the planet.
Isn't that funny? I can't stand LA. Vegas I love. Do you ever go down the road?
I haven't been to Vegas.
Oh, come with me in October.
Oh, is that a serious invitation?
I'm serious. I mean, the shows, do you like magic? Do you like entertainment? Do you like singing? Do you like variety acts? This is the capital of it.
I've got to say, I do. I have a soft spot for magic, which you might not kind of think of me as someone who like that, but I love magic. I think it's, a little bit of genuine mysticism in our modern age where we can just look up everything.
Yeah. And I hate that about YouTube, the fact that we go and see a show like that and then we can work out how it's done by Googling. That's not fair, is it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm one of those weird people who will, on YouTube, you like see someone doing a card trick and I'll say, oh, that's a double lift, oh, that's a false shuffle, like all that kind of little, I'm one of those nerds.
I guess you've got a curious mind. I mean, what I've read about your childhood is that you always wanted to learn. You were like a sponge, weren't you?
Yeah, I mean, the acquisition of knowledge is one of the kind of the primary functions of humans, I think. The acquisition and usage of that knowledge. I was always interested in facts, little, trivia, interesting things. A lot of those things have been long forgotten, but it's that intrigue, particularly as a child. I think that level of intrigue, the want to discover and learn, is one of the greatest gifts that we can be given as humans, as people. I think that being curious, wanting to know more, searching for answers and searching for the truth is humanity's destiny, in a way.
You have an incredible vocabulary as well. You're so eloquent. I guess that was something you worked at too, because that doesn't come easy, does it?
It's very weird. It's strange to think about how I became this verbose guy, but I was so interested in words and the way that words are composed. I love spelling. This is another weird thing you might not know about me. The way that English letters combine and the phonetics happen fascinates me, which I suppose is kind of a good thing to be fascinated by if you're a singer, because pronunciation is very key, particularly in classical. Getting those little bits of pronunciation over the notes. But I was always fascinated with words and spelling, and I would look up words. I carried around a pocket dictionary when I was in year 6, I think, of primary school. And in high school I was given a book by a science teacher of mine, just with all of these obscure, fun words that mean things that you can only describe in many words usually. I just really like words.
How hard is it when you get, let's say, an Italian song and you've got to make it sound as Italian as an Italian singer? You're from Essex, that's not going to be easy. Do you do it phonetically? Do you listen to the original? How do you get it perfect? Because people will mock you and laugh at you if you don't get it right in your game.
Yeah, they absolutely will. I use a lot of different techniques. I add lots of different things. For the most part, I've been very lucky in that I kind of have always also enjoyed impressions, doing, funny voices. And so...
Oh, hang on, we have to pause the conversation there. You do impressions, which is your favourite?
I did when I was a very young boy. I don't anymore. Do I have a favourite? I just like doing silly voices. I'm a bit of a goof.
Because I know this is one of your passions. I was told that you actually would love to do voiceover in film and in TV because, again, you love to mimic and do these things that could make you a lot of money. I mean, it's done The Simpsons people no harm, is it?
Certainly. I love to perform. I like to use my voice, of course. It would be kind of unfortunate if I didn't. But I'm trying to break into voice acting. I'm working on a couple of projects for indie game developers, and I'm having a really fun time. It's something completely fresh, and there's no industry in with the indie game developers. It's very much, what you see is what you're getting, and I really like that about that. I know nothing behind the back, nothing like that. It's all just been very pure and fun.
Interesting. And do you do accents as well? I mean, are you into all that stuff?
Yeah, I
Could you do Birmingham for example? That's very, very good, Birmingham.
Birmingham, for example. No, see, I get really caught up on the sibilances of the very ends of words. So R's are tough, I think, in the Birmingham. The M's, the M at the end is tough for me.
My favourite one is in Birmingham. Two old men were in a nursing home and he said, "Did you come here to die?" He said, "No, I came here yesterday," which I think is a great joke, but it's born out of... You don't like that, Jonathan?
I love it. I honestly love it. I was ashamed of myself for loving it.
Hey, listen, we must get to these Twitter things before we finish, because so many people have written in. And again, to just pay credit to your fans, I mean, they are incredibly loyal, incredibly defensive as well. They stick up for you. They love you, don't they?
I could not ask for more from them. Honestly, the people that have, surrounded me and become part of this conglomerate, which some of us call the Fant-ones. There aren't words that I could say to express exactly what you all do for me, because it's my life, it's my career, it's everything. If you didn't exist, if the people who were supporting me, buying the albums, coming to the concerts, if they didn't exist, then I wouldn't.
It's a beautiful way of looking at it, and I think so many forget that you are nothing without your fans.
Absolutely. I think that is one of the key things to remember. Not only are you nothing without your fans, they are people just like you.
I get really offended when artists cancel shows, and I'll tell you why, and I won't name names. One just did it very recently, 12 arena concerts. People have paid for tickets and hotels and buses and trains and all kinds of things, and it's not cheap. And to do that to people for your own agenda is really wrong, and I think you have to always remember that people maybe don't have as much money as you, and if they're coming, it costs an awful lot of money. Yeah,
for the most part, I definitely agree. You can refund the tickets, but you can't refund the flight that people took to come across the globe. I've cancelled one show in my career on my tour, in fact earlier this year, and that was because I thought I was going to have a heart attack. So I don't cancel for anything.
Are you okay? What happened?
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm completely fine. It was mostly kind of anxiety-related things. It might actually have something to do with this whole thyroid thing that's going on. Who knows? But yes, I'm fine. My ticker's all right.
I mean, is anxiety something you struggle with in the dressing room? I think the worst thing in show business is waiting. Doing it's fine. Standing in the wings getting on is bearable, but waiting in a dressing room can blow your mind, can't it?
It is so true. Like, that sums up the essence of my anxiety performing-wise. And you ask, do I struggle with performance backstage? I struggle with it every day, to be totally honest. But you know, you it's much like depression, anxiety. You deal with it. You find your ways of coping. You know.
You've spoken a lot in the past about mental health and depression, and I think it's never been talked about so much as it has currently. And it's become acceptable, especially for men too, who before have been told to man up. That's not acceptable anymore. We all have issues. You're a big sort of advocate of talk about it, get it out in the open, and deal with it that way. Man up is not necessarily the solution.
Oh, I think that the phrase "man up" has some inherent issues. I mean, to say that toughing something out is inherently manly, all that stuff, I think that's kind of not right. But you know, at its essence, I think that's such a horrible, awful thing to say to someone. I think that if you really, you know, want someone to man up, to be strong, to have that strength, you support them. You don't say things like that to them. It's just such a strange culture surrounding that, and for the life of me, I can't figure out why.
Yeah, it's sad. In our remaining moments, let's go to the fans because they're the most important. Their questions have been coming in and we thank them for it. Sally Ann says, do you play any other instruments other than the guitar?
Well, I play all manner of guitar, you know, acoustic, electric, bass, ukulele. Apart from that, I play a little bit of drums rudimentarily. I play very, very basic piano, and I'm pretty good with a little kalimba. Well, it's thumb kalimba things.
A kalimba? I've never heard of that. What is it?
I might actually be using the entirely wrong word, but does it matter? You know, one of those little round things that's like a hemisphere? It's like a hemisphere with all these long tongs that come out, and it's got a hole in it. And
Sounds like a kitchen implement.
Yeah, it does when I describe it that way. But you sort of, you flick the little rod things, and it makes like kind of a toy boxy little jingle.
Very nice. Nancy says, beside doing opera, would you do a musical? We mentioned this earlier.
Yes. Yes. Also the answer to the question.
How's your writing going, says Glynis?
It's tough. It's tough to find the place where you draw that mystic whatever it is from. I'm writing all kinds of stuff. I'm writing stories, Dungeons and Dragons campaigns. I'm writing an RPG system based on a show that I like, But as for music, I'm trying, but it's a long process. I take a long time to write a song.
And then Debbie says, where would you like to perform outside of this country? Because you've got fans all over the world.
Where? The real question is, where wouldn't I like to perform? I mean, that would be the easy one to ask. That's maybe like North Korea.
Oh, really?
Sue
Tiffin says, are you going to bring out a Christmas CD? You've got a show on December the 3rd, I think.
I have a show on December, I think 1st, and then sometime slightly later in December, but I can't remember. I'm just that kind of guy. I'm going to be doing some fun things. I saw people on Twitter, and they were asking, what are you going to sing? Can you give us any hints? And yes, in fact, my answer is no.
Oh, okay, so you're keeping them. Sue wants to know as well. It's the Lowther Pavilion, isn't it, on December the 1st? It's not technically a Christmas show then, or it is a Christmas show. Can you confirm that?
Well, for one, I thought I was kind of rude just then, so I'm sorry if I came off that.
Why don't you want to tell us? Are you keeping us in suspenders? What is it?
It is a Christmas-themed show, I will say that much.
Any chance of a Christmas CD? We'd love a Christmas CD.
It might not be a full LP, and it might not be even this year, but I would so much love to make one. Christmas is a time in my life that I've always really enjoyed. I don't know what it is about it, but drawing people closer together, getting nice presents, all that kind of stuff. It's Christmas is a special time, and I'd love to make a Christmas album, yes.
And it's also about people. I'd love you to do one of those cathedral tours. I beg of you to do it next year, because it's so great to hear somebody like you with your voice in somewhere like Lincoln Cathedral. Would be amazing.
I'm not going to say anything on that one, but that says it all.
You're toying with me, Jonathan. I don't like it. Congratulations on everything. Thank you so much for your time today and your incredible success. Believe is the latest album. I hope there's many, many more on the way. For 22, I think you're a remarkable human being, not to mention performer. Your voice is extraordinary and your following is incredible. I've never seen anything like it. I can see on my website to the hit how many people click on, and you are in the top 5. It's extraordinary, of all the people I've been speaking to for over 20 years. Jonathan Antoine, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, honestly. I thank you, all of you out there, and thank you. It's a pleasure to be here, and I wouldn't trade it for anything.